So that's what it is.
Join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call for the record. Mayor Lindsay,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Here.
Counselor Humbert,
Here.
Counselor Crane,
Here.
and Counselor Weeks.
Here.
We have a quorum. You may proceed.
At this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to please get a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I don't believe anybody signed up to speak this evening, so we will move on to announcements and proclamations by council. Do they have anything this evening? Okay. Flying through the staff reports. First up, we have Chief Jerry Hoger.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Manager. Apologize, I actually feel a lot worse than I sound. But
I'm glad you could make it.
yeah. Did everybody get a copy in their packet?
No.
May or may not want to touch it after I do. Honestly, I'm not that bad. So the monthly for the January of 2025. Calls for service reduced down a little bit from December to a total of 189 to the month. Total incidents. As far as the statistical reporting was 62, which was up slightly from 55. Warrants generated was only 1, down from 3. Well, there were 3 arrests, 2 crashes. Traffic citations, there were 75 issued, which I will point out is kind of a significant increase from December of 47. Non-traffic citations, there were 12, running about the same as the 14 we had in December. You're still waiting on the final work for the Public Works and the Police Department's digital repeater to go live with Red River. Work is being accomplished on that. Just takes a little bit of time to get there. We are very excited to get that though. And then the drafted uniform traffic code penalty assessment revision. I'm not sure why I left that on there. I'll be presenting that here in just a little while for you for consideration. And then in the month of January, Officer Hott attended the FBI LEDA series training. That's the Law Enforcement Executive Development. It's a 3-part series and he took part 1 of it and passed and did very well. It's not an easy course. And that is it. I would stand for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have our Airport Director, Jeff Gilmer.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, and Mr. Weir, who's part of the fix here. I hope I don't ever feel as bad as I look. Yeah, thank you for your time this afternoon. Real quickly, lots been going on at the airport. We've had an increase in traffic. We've had an increase in sales. I can't give you an exact percentage. Fuel is starting to flow through the tanks again. A lot of folks that came in the month of January. I think the weather has something to do with that. It's been really good flying weather for the most part. I think we've had 1 cancellation of advanced air and 1 or 2 diversions is all, which is really good considering this time of year would expected a whole lot more due to weather. So that's really exciting. Mostly I was excited to get a report of fuel sales, which means traffic's up. And that's great. We also have a little bit more room in the hangar. I don't know exactly who the person is, but I believe the last open spot in the hangar is now filled. So that space is done and fully leased out. So Gonna be talking to, Supervisor Matthews, in the next couple of days about opening up the center area. Right now, we have that area open for transient aircraft. So if they need to come in and be, put up overnight for a couple nights, they can do that. I would like to actually lease that. But it's getting the crew to be able to move the airplane in and out if we have somebody who's parked there permanently. So we can, take care of everybody on that. So that's the exciting news. The downside is, thank you all for signing checks. We had an unfortunate issue with one of our vehicles that does snow plowing that needed some maintenance, and I appreciate this gentleman right here. He deserves a raise, y'all. Yeah, he came out there and just knocked it out of the park for us on a couple bad weather days and helped us get going. We still have some work that needs to be done. This is on the articulated cat that has a plow on it. Right now, Rhodes is pretty much covering plowing, which has been pretty minimal, obviously. But we will need that cat at some point, and essentially, we think we've got water in the hydraulic lines. It just needs to be purged and get that fixed. Also, we had what's known as an AWOS system, an automated weather observation system, which is required by the FAA to be able to broadcast weather. That's a nationwide system. It kind of went down on us 2 weeks ago, and so we had to have a little bit of emergency pull to get our tech up, and he was able to get it back online within about 72 hours. So we're in good shape there. I will talk in a few more minutes here in regards to the airport contract with the consulting firm, and got some good news going on that. Otherwise, I'm open for questions.
Jeff,
Yes, sir.
during the 1 or 2 diversions, where they divert to?
They went to Taos for one for sure. Manager Weir actually got a ride down on the shuttle bus. He was actually,
I was actually on the one that got canceled and the one that got diverted.
yeah.
What does that tell us?
So, props to, I know Brendan's back there. I don't see Greg, but Greg responded very quickly. Got the van up, picked the people up that were here, took them to Taos, got those people, brought them back up. I don't think there was really much complaining, probably out in an hour and a half to their day is all. But we moved the people, everybody was taken care of.
Thank you.
And for those in the audience online too, whenever an airplane diverts and whenever an airplane is canceled, it needed to happen. Okay, airlines make their money by showing up on time and getting people moved. When they don't do it, it's because it was a good decision, as we've seen in the news even this morning. We don't want to get people up here with severe crosswinds and have any issues, so I'm actually grateful when they do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I believe Heather in our finance department has something to share with us this evening.
Evening, Mayor, Council, and Manager. Just a brief report. Our second quarter report was submitted and it's currently being reviewed by the DFA. Our bank reconciliations are up to date still. The lodger's tax audit is scheduled to begin. The auditors that did our audit are going to be doing that. We completed the first round of the budget. So the budget process has begun, and we continue to have some issues with utility billing. Some of the old meters and issues with the newer meters not reporting. But we're working through that. So it just, any questions?
Thank you for, I know on the utility billing side, it's been frustrating, not only for our customers, but for you as well. So thank you for helping work through all that.
Well, it's a team effort with Audrey and Kathy and.
Thank you, Heather. Next up, I believe Brandon Prather wanted to give us a little events rundown.
Thank you all for having me, Mayor, Councilman, Manager.
Yeah, just want to give you an update on everything that's been going on. Lots of traction on stuff these days. To begin with, lot 6 and 7 will be where the temporary new temporary events area will be. I have that marked off. If anybody wants to go out there and walk it, just look for the orange wooden spikes. I painted them all orange all the way around. Got with Santos, got an address on those 2 lots, so I was able to get with Kit Carson, and we have an appointment with them Friday to come out and look to see what it'll take to get electricity out there. Been working on the logistics on everything else. Been working with, got the large tent, on order. It should ship out soon. We had a little problem with the logos, but, worked with the advertising agency, got them, all the correct logos and everything like that. So that should be coming soon. Also, we have the barricades in stock. They are here in stock. They are here and ready to go out where we can have alcohol sales and all that when we start doing events out there. The stage, I asked for a 24 by 12 stage when y'all okayed it. I'm gonna go bigger after discussing things with the agent and bands and things like that. I'm gonna go bigger, still gonna be under budget on that. And then I'll also get that stage cover for that. So I'll have to change that, but should still be under budget. Bathroom trailers, we are putting down deposits on both of those. We will have bathroom trailers out there for the Memorial Weekend event. Starting, and then we'll have another set of them come, balloons. That way, we're gonna have restrooms, places for people to wash their hands and everything. And then we, picked out a synthetic grass. Not gonna take from the water. Gonna do a synthetic grass out there. I've got some prices on that. Just gotta put some plans together, see what exactly we want. It's gonna be similar to a Kentucky blue. So nice and soft, people can sit in it, lay in it. Should be really nice. One challenge I am having with the area, as we're hiring sound for the bands, don't really know how big to go. So we've kind of just come to a decision. We're just gonna go with the same type of sound system that we have at Frontier Park, knowing that we're gonna start off with Cool Summer Nights, and then and the Memorial Weekend, which that'll be in the tents. I'll talk about that in a second. So, so we'll have a Cool Summer Nights, test it out, see if we need to go bigger, and we will have to go bigger on a couple of the events. So we're just gonna play that by ear and learn as we go on that. Spring, let's see, we're working on a strategy to recruit volunteers to help us with events. The Angel Fire Angels, gonna have them out there helping us, cause we're gonna need them. Balloons, all events, checking IDs, things like that. And then, some things that we have traction on event wise. Spring break, we're gonna have just a little concert in the Frontier Park with Ryan and the Resistors. Should be a fun time. Memorial Weekend, working with Nancy Birch on Mayhem on the Mountain, helping put together a dance. We're hoping it'll be out here under the tent. Working with someone to build a stage for under there where we have a stage for the tent. And then, we'll be starting to work with Nancy on putting together a marketing plan and all that's involved with that. And I'm gonna be working hand in hand with Nancy on that. That way she can kind of pass that on to me in the future, where I'll be doing 100% of the planning on Mayhem on the Mountain pretty much going forward after this year possibly, or a couple years down the road. But I'm gonna learn it all. That way I'm ready to take that over. Working on 16 Cool Summer Nights. And working with the booking agency on getting those decided. 3 of those will be 2-band nights. That way we add a little more time, things to do on Friday night for a little longer. So it should be fun. Working on the 15 farmers markets, putting together the list of vendors that want to return, and I'm working on recruiting new vendors from what people have said to me that they want to see more fruits and vegetables, meats, things like that we can get out there. And working on getting the live music for all of those. Balloons Over Angel Fire is really getting some traction. I'm putting together the reception dinner. We're gonna have a dinner, live band, and then we're working with the staff to get the sponsors for every balloon. We're hoping to have 40 balloons this year, over 35 that we've had the last few years. And we want to get a sponsor for every one of those is our goal, and multiple large sponsors, at least 3 larger sponsors. So we're working with the agency on the marketing that includes social media and handouts at the events, such as playing cards, stickers, things like that. And then, of course, the booklets they can have that tell the names of every balloon. Working on putting together, finalizing a group of vendors that make sense for that event out there, and that can handle possibly having a presence at multiple events, because that weekend you have mimosas, you have farmers market on Sunday. So trying to be strategic about who I have out there that makes the most sense. Along with balloons, we're gonna have that aviation week now, and we're getting some traction on planes, military and civilian planes. And I'm working on vendors for those as well. 4th of July, the drone show is all finalized. Music, sound, and show. And then concerts, we're gonna have at least 3 live concerts during that weekend, maybe 4. So we're working out the details on that. And then we're working on a couple of major concert events for the summer. One of them has a little more traction than the other one. Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. We're working on a barbecue cook-off or having multiple different types of barbecue for people to try. I'm working on one of those 2. And then talking with the New Mexico Brewers Guild for them to have a presence at this event, bringing multiple breweries along with, I'll be working with our local breweries as well to have them there, which I'll have them at all this stuff is my goal. We have 1 band on that Friday as part of the Cool Summer Nights, and 3 bands on that Saturday, headlined by the fabulous Thunderbirds, which will be a huge concert out here. So we're excited about that. We're looking at July 12th on that. So we actually do have a date, and we'll have money down on them soon. I think I okayed everything today. I think we're gonna be good to go on that. The second big festival, we're wanting to do a rock and roll car show. We're in discussions with another known big band. I'm not gonna say names on this one because I don't want to promise anything. It will be the same layout concert wise. And we're still kind of working on where we're gonna go with the car show. Could go a Porsche show, could go just a older car show, or a lowrider show, things like that. I'm in discussions with multiple on that to see what we can work out.
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna jinx it, but it's Los Lobos.
He just jinxed it. But, things are moving.
Excited about that.
It is Los Lobos. That could be a fun time. And we're pretty far in advance. We're pretty far in talking to them. And then sometime between August and the end of September, we're gonna put on a trail run. The goal is to have a marathon, half, 10K, 5K, and a fun run. We're still trying to figure out the best route for the run. Everybody has different ideas on that, and they're all good. So we gotta figure that out. But as soon as we can figure that out, I'll have traction and get that put together as well. That way we can start advertising that. Oktoberfest 2025, already in discussions to have the Lederhosen Junkies here to play. I'll also recruit appropriate vendors, have some German food, German vendors selling stuff, and of course, multiple brewery options on that. And have multiple games to play for additional entertainment instead of just the one, which BJ did beat his wife at that, so at least that was good. And then calling off lakes looks good for next year. Pueblo Dancers will be back. We'll have a live band and a bonfire again. So that's what we have right now, pretty much really good traction that's gonna happen. Any questions?
We just need the Pueblo Dancers to do something more fruitful than this year.
Yeah.
I think it's for us this year.
Well, we'll have them do the bear dance next year instead of the buffalo dance. Maybe we'll try a different dance. I don't know. But yeah, that didn't work out so well for no. Anything? All right, y'all have dinner?
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brandon.
Okay, I think that concludes our staff reports. So moving on to, committee reports. Do we have any committee reports this evening? I would like to, it's my understanding that the Bills and, Rec Committee secured $99,000 for the extension of the Frank Young Trail.
We did. We're still waiting on some logistics on the trail itself, but we're hoping to get some answers on where we can, where the trail's actually gonna go.
So it's been announced, but it hasn't been awarded. We don't have the money yet, but it has been announced by the governor. So,
No, that was great news. And,
congratulations, Jeff.
Rocky.
well, no, Attila and Matt, you know,
Yep.
it's a big, yeah, thanks to everybody. Okay, so with that, I guess we'll move on to new business. Item A, under new business, I'd like to open discussion to approve the Night Skies Committee Charter. To present that is Shelley Kaiser.
Thank you, Mayor, council people, and Mr. Weir. I believe, and you can correct me if I'm incorrect, our committee was formed, I believe, last April, and then it was like August-ish that the Comprehensive Planning Committee invited all village committees to get together, share ideas, and their efforts to coordinate all of the committees. And at that time, they asked us to present a committee chart. I thought we had presented it, I mean, this has been our charter since then. I don't know how it got between August and now before it got before the village for approval. But I'm assuming everyone has a copy in your packets. And we just followed the outline as recommended by the Comprehensive Planning Committee to establish our mission, our timeline, explain our committee members, our scope, our outcome deliverables, and our supporting resources. So this is what we would want to submit as our charter in compliance with the Comprehensive Planning Committee's desire to organize all of the village committees. Question?
Looks great. If there's not any other comments or questions, I'd ask Mr. Pro Tem Howe to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Night Skies Committee Charter.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item A. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Pass.
On item B, open discussion to approve Night Skies input for Comprehensive Planning Committee. The committee requests for goal development process. Task 1.
Again, the Comprehensive Planning Committee is providing to all of the volunteer village committees outlines to help us guide our work. And so their first recommendation to the committee was to develop, and there's a list of tasks, and we had a tasks list and a timeline. And this, I believe, was to be presented back in November. Again, whatever reasons, it's just now becoming a part of the village meetings. So they asked just for a succinct description of the existing conditions, and they said you could just put it in bullet format or paragraph for it. So we just did the bullet format, and then we outlined our current conditions about what the current ordinance says, what the current conditions are in Angel Fire, and then the issues with the current ordinance, which I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe was initially passed in 2002, so it's very outdated. And then the benefits that it would bring to have a new outdoor lighting ordinance for the village. And so we outlined our assessment of the current conditions.
I personally don't see anything here that needs to change. The staff's recommendation is that the council should amend to their goals. Would you like to elaborate on that, manager?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I don't have any amendments. I actually think they did a very good job. I put that on there because this is the point that if the council wants something included that's not included, or that you guys knew that this is your chance to make a change to that. I'm in agreement with everything they did. I don't have any changes.
So I think the charter and this, task one.
Yeah, our understanding was this, we're not outlining our goals, we're outlining an assessment of where
Exactly. And I think
existing
we're,
districts. Yeah,
I think
okay.
we're on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Unless anyone else has anything else to add. If not, I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Night Skies input for comprehensive planning committee request for goal development process, task 1.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item B. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Moving on to item C, I'd like to open discussion to,
Point of order, did we take, because there's two items, we need a vote on each item.
We voted on item A and B. They were separated.
Yeah.
No, I guess I'm.
moving on to item C. I'd like to open a discussion to approve Angel Fire Workforce Housing Charter.
Mayor Lindsay, Councilman, Manager Ware, Clerk Strickland. What you have in front of you is a committee charter from the Workforce Housing Committee. This is a culmination of input from everyone on the committee, including myself, to kind of pull it together as a document. And so I'm here to ask for approval of this charter for the Workforce Housing Committee. I'm open for questions as well.
Rocky, on page 1, in the very last paragraph, that talks about active members.
Yes, sir.
Any person who lives full-time in the village of Angel Fire is eligible to become an active member of the committee approved by the village mayor with full voting privileges. I'm okay with that, but did we mean to say council or mayor?
I meant to say mayor.
That's a good catch, Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Mayor, if I may. It actually should say appointed by the mayor with full approval of the council.
We can modify that in motion.
Yes.
Any other recommendations?
The same modification then would need to be under the associate member on page 2 as you're making the motion.
Correct.
Okay, good.
And I do have a question, Manager Ware. We've had some discussion and I was under the understanding that on any committee, we were going to allow. So obviously anyone that resides in Angel Fire would qualify as a voting member. But we were gonna allow business owners and part-time residents that same status on committees.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Madam Clerk is actually in the process of developing that policy. I've assigned that policy to her to have written. I will tell you, we went to legal counsel on this. I created a firestorm. I didn't intend to create, because in practice, apparently not in policy, we couldn't find it in policy anywhere, but in practice, at least in my tenure at the village, which is 10 years now, to be a voting member of a committee, you've always had to be a voting resident and be registered to vote. By the way, it's the same practice at the county. In order to be on a county committee, you have to be registered to vote within the county. And so that's come to find out that we have no policy. There is no state statute requiring that. There's no state statute on committees at all, other than saying that the council has the authority to create committees, advisory committees. It doesn't designate what membership should consist of. So there's no law that says anybody, we could have anybody technically as a member and as a voting member. It's up to the mayor to appoint and the council to approve, which is in statute. But there's no rules on what that membership needs to be. I do have, like I said, the Madam Clerk, working on a policy that hopefully within a month we can bring before council. That's gonna say exactly what you just said, which was my direction, is we want people that own property here to be able to be voting members of committees and people that have businesses here. And the other things, I don't remember all, I wrote them down, but so I don't have that yet, ready to present to council. And they included this language in there, and I think it's the language will comply with the future language we come out with in policy here in a month. So I don't think this language, the way it's written.
So my suggestion would be, if we're gonna amend this, to strike that section. Because it will ultimately fall back to the policy that we're looking to create. Not, I wouldn't like to have contradictory policies in place. If that makes sense to the council. In other words, just strike the committee membership, portion of this charter.
I mean, if that's your wish, then
That would be my recommendation, my ask in this, amending this motion. Not to create any confusion on a policy that we're still working on creating.
So you're talking about deleting, under committee membership.
Correct.
Okay.
And that'll only be addressed for all committees in a new policy.
All right.
so Mr. Mayor, my recommendation would be to strike the paragraph called active members and to strike the paragraph called associate members.
Keep current committee.
Yeah, that's fair, yes. Strike active members, and strike associate members.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the document? If not, I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem Howe to amend his motion, or to make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Angel Fire Workforce Housing Charter with the deletion of the paragraph stating active members and the deletion of the paragraph stating associate members.
Second.
Roll call vote on item C. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass.
Thank you.
Moving on to item D, I'd like to open discussion to approve a motion to proceed with updating Uniform Traffic Code ordinance. Chief Hogan.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Manager, guests. This is just that, it's a motion to proceed with updating. I've drafted some corrections to our current uniform traffic ordinance after having an opportunity to sit with Judge Hill, our municipal judge, and agreeing to add a few of the more common violations to the penalty assessment schedule that was passed in June or July when this was adopted. The larger portion of this is what we had adopted, currently have adopted, has a section in it that says the Office of Municipal Court may notify the Motor Vehicle Division State of New Mexico for people, persons who have failed to pay penalty assessments. and the department shall report the notice upon their driver's record. That was repealed a few years ago out of the state side, so that needs to come out of our ordinance. That's the most significant change to this, but having to revisit this, we felt it was appropriate to look, are there some other penalty assessments that would mean less mandatory court appearances for alleged violators? And we did agree that overtaking on the left could be a penalty assessment, and we established dollar amounts that are consistent with what other similar violations are. Tail lamps being required was $95, where having a headlight out was only an $80. So we're bringing consistency to the penalties in a few of these, as well as adding a few other things. And then pedestrians having right of way at crossings, adding that as a moving violation penalty assessment of $55. And then the last significant changes that I would like to take forward to legal and ultimately to advertising is putting section 4, the failure to pay penalty assessments or to appear in court. Our current version does not have a section in it that gives the judge clear guideline of being able to fine $0 to $300 for an offender who fails to pay a citation within 30 days or fails to appear in court. This section A and section B would give us that in municipal code, so the judge could fine on that rather than state law. Lastly, and I know there was some discussion of this in the previous draft, regular penalty assessment misdemeanors versus construction zones. And what we found in our research is that if you go into the Uniform Traffic Code under 1261.2, there is actually a section that says an assessment for speeding in a construction zone is twice the regular penalty assessment. Ours is not. So to be consistent with the statute, we've put that in there. So construction zone penalties on speeding would double. That's the gist of most of the changes. And I did make a staff recommendation and would request that this go to the next step for legal review and then be brought back for further discussion and consideration.
So Chief, on the third page, paragraph C.
It's already fixed.
Where to mail,
It's already fixed, sir. Yes, the address that I put on here, that's my mistake. I had put 27B for the court. It's 27A, Haley Pines.
and additionally, should this go to a PO box? Because the address that's in here, I don't think gets mail delivered, does it?
So it can and it will be on the back of each citation. There is the mailing address that the violator is provided a copy of. So that will be posted on there as well. But good catch on the address part. It seems like there was one other small something that I wanted to point out, and I didn't get it down into my notes, but just make sure. That is it. I'd stand for questions and ask for your approval and posting proceeding with this.
Any further questions or discussion? If not, Mayor Pro Tem, how would you make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the motion to proceed with updating the Uniform Traffic Code ordinance.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item D. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Humphrey.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion pass.
Moving on to item E, I'd like to open discussion to approve a new village position of medical director, Chief Garrett.
Evening, Mayor Lindsay, members of the council, Manager Weir and Village Crooks. Strickland, Manager Weir, would you like to open up with the discussion?
Yes, Mayor, Council. So, as you're aware, the village in, really Moreno Valley is in need of a physician. In order, we do have nurse practitioners who do a great job, but they have to have a physician that they report to. The hospital district has struggled with providing a physician in this area. We've since Dr. Cohen left, we've had turnover for medical reasons, for different family reasons, for other reasons. We have been working with the resort and with the hospital district to obtain a new physician for Moreno Valley and really for southern Colfax County. One of the issues that we faced was what the hospital district is capable of paying. It was not as competitive as the market is now for doctors because unfortunately people are not entering that profession at the same rate that they used to, say, when I was in college. And so we also saw a need at the fire and EMS services that we provide that could be filled with a position. So in conjunction with the hospital district and the retirement or the long-term stay facility in Springer, we have gone and teamed up to try and acquire or hire a medical doctor for Moreno Valley and southern Colfax County. And working with the mayor, we agreed to create a new position of medical director. It is a new employee position, but it's not a new position. We've always had a medical director. We've just paid a consortium for that, which, by the way, at least for this year, because we already have a contract, we will continue to do both. And that'll give us time to transition and make sure we don't fall short on any of our medical services that we provide to our constituency. So for a year, we will have both, but our goal is to maybe eventually have this position replace the consulting agency that we use now. And that Dr. Michael Rossi will act as our medical director. And we'll be here to assist in training our staff and consulting with our staff in critical situations. And we just feel that this will be a good move for the valley and a good move for the village. And if you would just kind of go a little bit more into the actual responsibilities that he would have as medical director.
Yeah, and I'll stand for any questions afterwards, of course, to the context as to how the medical director operates within our organization now. The EMS director acts as a resource to the community. The medical director will serve for the fire department 24/7 as a resource for patient care. If we have a call at 3 a.m. where we're unclear on some of the protocols that are written and we're not sure to go one way or the other, we can reach out to this physician. He'll be on call and answer those calls for our crew members, and that is the case now. He will also be a resource for patient care. He will help out with quality improvement and quality assurance. He will look at all the calls that we have. He'll read the reports. He'll make sure that we're falling under the scope of what our practice is under the EMS Bureau. He will conduct live and online training on-site and off-site. He will help us in the relicensure every year as EMS providers. We have to reapply for licensure and they have to be signed off by the EMS physician. So I hope to develop some sort of testing process so that we can make sure that our people are current, up to speed on all the current protocols. He'll also represent as needed to the state EMS Bureau, who is the overall governing body of our licenses. As well as the Board of Pharmacy and assistance with DOT and PRC recertifications, which allow us to operate as an ambulance service here within the valley. I think one of the biggest benefits that he'll provide in being the medical director for the clinic as well at FA1 is he'll act as a bridge and as a liaison between the fire department and the resort to have a better working relationship between the two entities. And I've met Dr. Rossi personally on a couple occasions and really like what we're getting into. I think he's going to be an asset for the community. I'll stand for any questions that you guys have.
The only other thing I'd like to add, Mr. Mayor, is that he is a retired Army medical doctor, has combat experience. And he's right now working on getting his license to operate in the state of New Mexico.
And as far as the bridge process goes, we're gonna stay on with the UNM consortium. They'll serve as our medical director. As Manager Weir stated, we're under contract with them. And this will allow Dr. Rossi time to spool up and get all the required blessings from the state and so forth to act as a physician here and act as our medical director. So we'll have that bleed over and we can continue to have both entities on at once. There's no conflict of interest there, hoping to bridge the gap later on and move over to just having one medical director.
And ultimately, I think we may decide not to cancel the other. To do something like use Dr. Rossi during set hours and have the other one as available on the 24/7 scenario. But ultimately, what it's going to do is provide a higher level of medical service to the residents of Angel Fire in Moreno Valley. But I think in the long run, it's a good investment.
So in the future, he could act as a physician? I mean,
No, he will be acting as a physician.
So
His
So will he have an office?
Yeah, his primary role will be at FA1 and he'll have a primary office and conduct primary care is the intent. So he'll be available to the constituents.
So for the community members, he's basically taking Dr. Cohen's spot, Margaret's spot. It would be our local position.
Wow.
What we're requesting here is the position to act as our medical director in conjunction with all of those duties of the physician here in the valley.
So he'll be doing both.
Yeah, wonderful.
Is there some type of cost sharing going on? Because I mean, it all sounds great, but I see this number on paper and you can't hire a doctor for just
Yeah, this
this.
is our portion.
This is
Okay.
our portion.
I don't remember the
hospital district, it will be paying him as a doctor for the clinic. And then he also has another contract with the long-term care facility in Springer.
as a medical director.
And so with the cooperation of all these entities, we can be competitive in a salary to bring him here because he is in demand.
For sure. I was gonna say with this,
And money isn't everything to this man, but at some point, you know, we have to, and I will say too, we're still low. But we're hoping that this is enough to get him here. Any other questions? Comments?
And I'll just add for color, he seems really excited to come up here and really excited to make it work. So
Yeah, I've met with him a few times as well and very impressed, and I think he would make a great fit in addition to Angel Fire, and I think he'll be here for quite some time if he's brought in. Nothing further, Mayor Pro Tem, if you'd make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a new village position, medical director.
Second.
Roll call vote on item E. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
aye,
Counselor Weeks,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, at this time, we'll move on to item F. I'll open discussion for the appointment of new members to the Roads and Infrastructure Committee. So we've had a little stall in that committee and with the help of the council liaison, Mayor Pro Tem Howe, and the chairman, Kevin Ricketson, they've recruited a couple of new members. So I would propose that we add Grant Gergen and Randy Kaiser to the Roads and Infrastructure Committee. Do you have any questions or comments? If not, I'd ask Mayor to make a motion.
I'll make a motion for the appointment of new members to the Roads and Infrastructure Committee, Grant Gergen and Randy Kaiser.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item F. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Humbert,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Weeks.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay, last item under new business, I'd like to open discussion to approve the transfer consulting agreement with DuBois and King, the airport transfer consulting agreement. Mr. Gilmer.
Mayor, Councilor, Manager, Jim Strickland. Thank you for letting me come up and talk a little bit about this. This is a contract with DuBois and King, who will work shoulder to shoulder with us as we transition the airport sponsorship from Colfax County to the village. This was voted on by the committee. Chairman is with us tonight. This past week, these folks are very skilled in what they've done. This is not their first time doing a sponsorship change. I'll speak to that in just a second. So I'm very excited to have them come on. I apologize for the lateness of getting this contract to you. It has been swirling around in the wheels here for a few weeks. And Manager Weir was able to actually get it from the lawyer, I believe, about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So again, apologies for the late timing on it, but we wanted to get it before you. So we'll open this up for questions here in just a moment. What we're looking at right now is hitting the road tomorrow morning pretty hard and hearing, wheels spinning and burning rubber. DuBois and King, myself, and Lawrence Davis had a meeting a couple of weeks ago. They are ready to move this whole system forward. We have the game plan. We have checklists from the FAA. We know exactly what is needed to push this forward. What they're going to help us do is compile this data and get it in a format where the FAA is going to accept it. Now, I'm going to back up just a second. What I said before, the reason I want to take a moment to talk about it. I had a good long conversation this morning with the assistant manager of the Airports District Office in Fort Worth. He's the boss. Mr. Jamie Fuller is going to be the person who will work with us, would be kind of as an inspector, but the boss himself reiterated several times during the conversation that what we're about to do here is a little bit out of the ordinary for the FAA. And so when the time comes, with the help of this group, with this company, we will sit down at a table and we'll walk through and make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, because his words, not mine. When this gets to Washington DC, it will be put under a microscope because it is a rare event. He says, I don't see a problem with it happening. He's just like, it's just that we need very much precision thinking and detailed writing to get this done. And this is where this group will help us get us across the line. That being said, couple of things that have already happened just this week. One, we've got a SharePoint that has been opened up with the county. It was a recommendation we made a couple weeks ago. That SharePoint has members on it that will represent both the county and the village and the FAA and state aviation. So all of us can actually share this data and move it about, take a look at what's going on, again, making sure that the details are covered. That was really exciting to see that come to fruition. So that's already on play. Again, a lot of the documentation that we needed has already been required. It's already been put together. So with that, there was one other point that I forgot to, if I can back up real quick, to tell you that we also in the last 2 weeks had with the county, the hangar agreement completed finally. Omni VR blessed it, basically meaning the grant monies that were allocated by the state for the new hangar We'll replace the hangar door on the old hangar and we'll build 4 new hangars that we'll be able to lease out. And I apologize, I had forgotten that. I wanted to put that in for it. So, with that said,
On that
questions?
subject, has the extension been filed yet?
That was a question again that was asked on Friday and no response has been given yet. If you, Mayor Lindsay, I think you saw in the SharePoint, I've already written down basically. This is what we want to see by Friday from, Moles and Corbin. Which I believe next week we'll talk a little bit more about bringing him on as the consultant for the village. So the answer is no. Kind of still in that holding pattern with that, no pun intended.
Mr. Mayor, council, I will tell you that if that extension isn't filed by the 25th of next Tuesday, when their contract comes, or their motion to proceed or whatever, I guess it is.
Yes.
On that contract, we're gonna strike it from the agenda. They haven't got that done. My recommendation to the council, I can't tell you what to do as much as I want to sometimes, would be not to hire them. It's that simple. I mean, this is not rocket science we're asking them to do.
Thank you for that question. I do not disagree with the manager. I'm in the same boat with that. So it's very important that this stuff gets handled and expedited, as you will.
Question on the hangars, is it 1 plane per hangar?
Yes, these are small hangars. It'll be smaller individual aircraft, single engine aircraft. It won't be large enough to hold a twin in it or anything like that.
Mayor Pro Tem, what we're hoping to be able to do is, right now, we have small airplanes, 4, gonna be 5, grouped into our big hangar.
Right.
And that prevents us from putting large airplanes in there. So we're hoping that 4 of those people that are leasing space will move out into private hangars. And that big hangar will be open for larger planes, overnight stays, and that's where significant revenue can be had.
Not private hangars, but individual hangars.
Individual.
Right.
Yeah.
Individual hangars.
And by individual, it's one large structure with dividers.
Okay.
So to create 4 individual hangars in one large building.
Okay.
Yeah, when I said private, I meant instead of sharing one big hangar, they would have their own.
Right.
So, yeah, but I get how that could be confusing.
And part of the discussion and then voting was that those 4 then can be continued to the south along the existing taxiway. And we can go out for more grant money. So again, what we're talking about here is money that's already in grant to us to spend. To go out for another grant for another large hangar. Big enough to put in some of the larger private jets and stuff that come in.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we're after.
And Mr. Mayor, again, I do apologize for this. Yeah, I'm gonna blame it on the lawyers. This went back and forth between their lawyer and our lawyer 4 times, I think. And as a matter of fact, this final time, if you look in it on page 5, you'll see there's some red line in here. This were the last changes made by our lawyer, requested by our lawyer. I did not have time to get a response from them. So what I'm asking you to do is to approve this with the changes from our lawyer. And we'll take it to them and say, here's the contract we're ready to go with. It was an indemnification clause, quite frankly, the language they took out. The state constitution restricts how much we can indemnify anybody. And so our lawyer simply felt that their requests for indemnification were beyond constitutional limits. So they removed really 1 sentence. There's words that they changed, like the client, but really it's just 1 sentence that's being removed. That our legal counsel, which is in the under section 14, in the first paragraph about midway through, you'll see the inclusion of excluding design services or architectural design services but then stricken out as provided under this agreement, other than professional services relating to the design and or construction or all or part of the projects. So our lawyer simply felt that was too broad and depending upon the work that was done, could be in breach of the state constitution, and she simply refined it into excluding design services or architectural design services. And that's the main change. Otherwise, it's just, calling them a client instead of a city, calling them a consultant instead of a contractor.
On page 8, is amendment A is the scope of work. Some of you have seen this already in past forms. Scope of work has not changed really in here. This agreement will not only just be to take us to the point of sponsorship change, but also help us in the future with the operation of the airport, creating an FBO, going out and helping us to look to. So they're going to consult for the bigger picture too. So we have a very much a mission to accomplish. Right now, boots on ground, we have another one sitting out there about 30,000 feet, which is 2-3 years down the road. And these folks are perfectly qualified to help us do that. Any questions? Any more questions on it? I would also, just before I sit down there, invite you out. Come on, see what's going on out there. If you haven't been to the airport in the last month, you're gonna be pleasantly surprised the way the look and feel there.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
this question doesn't pertain to this, so maybe I shouldn't ask it, but we had some, lodger's tax money that was unspent. Are we in a position to?
So I can answer that, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, that money that was allocated and had gone unspent. So it was the Village of Angel Fire that had given the lodger's tax money to Colfax County. Prior to the advanced air bringing in the scheduled flights, the one big ask of the airport was to have a concrete apron from the tarmac to the terminal. They were gonna have issues with luggage carts and traffic. I mean, really, there wasn't any other way to go. They had to go through the hangar or through the mud to get to the terminal. There wasn't a good solution, so, Manager Ware and I got with the county and they approved using those funds to pour concrete apron. Then, once that process was complete, there was still funds left. And so we got approval from the county to use that money to upgrade the furnishings and decorations inside the airport. So the vast majority of that money, there's a small balance, but that money has been mostly spent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, if there's no further questions or discussion, Mayor Pro Tem now, would you make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the airport transfer consulting agreement with DuBois and King. And considering on page 5, paragraph 14, that we use the red line provided by the village attorney.
I'll second.
Roll call vote on item G. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Humbert,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Weeks.
Aye.
Motion with modifications passed.
This evening, I'll turn it over to Manager Ware for the management report.
Mr. Mayor, I know y'all are gonna be disappointed, but I'm gonna try and keep this short just because I've been out sick so much. I shouldn't have these guys, but I will tell you that, first of all, we have had some challenges, this past week with, road, icing. And, so, it has been, we've already used more cinder, this winter than we used all of last winter. And we still have, a month left of winter. So we have had some challenges. It has been around town, in different areas. I will say the streets crew has really worked hard to stay on top of it, but, you know, what's happening is during the day, it's getting wet. And, then right around sunset, it freezes. People don't realize it. My son actually on Saturday was, in a bang up on Squaw Valley, going less than 20 miles an hour. Tried to pass a car that had single wheel drive, that was pulled off to the side and still slid into them. Anyhow, it has been a challenge. We are staying on top of it, but please be aware that it's kind of a unique situation. Another unique situation you probably are all aware of is our water meter situation. I think, Director Epler has spoken in the last meeting to you guys about it. It's multifold problem. One that kind of raised its ugly head was the fact that, you know, many of the meters were not placed properly in their cans, which caused them to freeze. We have some pretty innovative guys in our water department who actually created a device to unfreeze these water meters, and it's been very successful. I don't know, we've had close to 80 calls in the past week and a half related to frozen water meters. It's higher now.
We're over 100.
Over 100 now. So it is an issue. Unfortunately, I think a lot of them could have been resolved through higher quality control with our vendor that installed the new meters. And, you know, it was a hard lesson learned. I don't think they had experience at this high of an elevation. And I placed meters in cans that weren't all the way to the bottom. Primarily because they were struggling with signals from the meters. And that caused a lot of problems. There were other issues that were related to it, but I would say that the water department's done a great job. Those guys have been working like crazy hours. So it's gonna dip into our budget a little bit, but had to be done. And, you know, we basically, I don't know, how many do we have open now? Do we have any left open, any of those calls? 2. So, in excess of 100 calls, the past week and a half, they've resolved all of them but 2. So, they've done a bang up job and deserve a lot of accolades, for that. These same issues have led to billing problems. I think you guys have probably seen them on Facebook, people complaining. It's funny, you made it to Facebook. Seems like it was a lot bigger deal on Facebook than reality. I don't want to minimize it, but we probably had 12 people complain about their water bills to us. And some of them are founded and some of them aren't. We said this and, you know, we tried to get ahead of this. We had the Village Voice, we talked about billing issues. We put it on statements. We put it on Facebook. We tried to communicate to the public that there were issues out there. I will tell you, my estimate right now is only about half of them are really problems with the conversion. The other half, and that's an approximate number, are people have gone a decade or more without a functional meter. And they're now getting proper meter readings. And this has really hit hard with some of the condo associations. And so we are working through those. I personally have probably made a half a dozen phone calls to people explaining what happened on their meters. We have found some problems. We found some billing issues. We struggled reading some meters because they weren't connecting, and unfortunately our installers weren't verifying adequately that the meters were connecting to the reading system. And so we have some meters that didn't get read, and then all of a sudden 2 months later they got read. So it was 2 months worth of water instead of 1 month. That's not the customer's fault, and we're basically having to manually go split those bills up and bill people based on the split. Because we can tell, the good thing about the new meters is they're very detailed, they give you hourly readings for every meter. We can tell how much somebody is using on an hourly basis. And once it fully gets up and running, which it's not right now, because we still have 500 meters to replace. But once it fully gets up and running, it's actually gonna save us a lot of water because the system can detect water leaks. Right now, the system is detecting it. Unfortunately, it's not set up so that the monitoring system is notifying us. We're still having to go through the old fashioned way of manually checking meters for leaks. And, but the system does have leak detection, and you can see when somebody's using, 200.2 to 200.6 gallons an hour for 3 straight days. Just the consistency of that usage tells you it's a leak. And, unfortunately, we've had a few of those. And like I said, we've had people that have just had bad meters. And now they have a meter that works, and it's impacting them because they're actually getting billed what their usage is. So, I'm not putting that off on all of them. I'm saying it's about half of it, mistakes were made in the billing. Half of it is these other issues that we're gonna have to work with people through, and I'll warn you. Although most of the people have been polite to me, there are people that aren't happy right now because they've been paying a minimum bill for a decade, and now all of a sudden they're paying in excess of the minimum, and they think our meters are not reading correctly.
We anticipated that when we discussed putting in the new meters.
That part wasn't.
I mean, the whole point of it, not the whole point, was bringing it up to these digital meters. Being able to digitally read them. But more importantly, the amount of water loss that the village is incurring. In other words, the amount of water that's being used and not being billed for. So this is an intended consequence of replacing those meters. And so it's gonna take some time to work through for people to understand. Again, if they had a faulty or unreading meter, they were just getting billed the minimum. And so now they're getting billed for their usage, so.
So just so you know, when this started in October, we have not billed any late fees for any water usage, since really the October bills were due in November. So we haven't been billing late fees, and we probably won't for, until May. Because some of these problems won't be cleared up until May. It's unfortunate, but we're having to manually enter amounts on many meters. And we're having to minimum bill some meters because for different reasons, we're still struggling having the meter read it into the automated system. We think that that'll all be cleared up once we replace all of the meters. We still have about 500 meters left to replace. That should happen by mid to late May. And so it's an ongoing battle. I will tell you, y'all have a chance to see Audrey Cordova, you need to thank her. Because we've had to pull off her normal duties for the most part and focus just on this. And she's done a really good job of going and looking up all the numbers. I've been making a lot of phone calls, but she does all the work. I'm just telling them what she found out. So if y'all see her, please thank her for her diligence. I know Heather also has worked with Audrey quite a bit on trying to solve these problems. Like I said, at least half of them are actually mistakes that we're trying to correct. And when we do look at them, we try to be fair, but we always err on the side of the consumer. So if it's not a definitive, this isn't a problem with the meter, or, this is actual usage, if that's not definitive, we try and err on the side of the consumer. But in some cases, it's just, they're not happy and it's actually water they use. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I'll just lastly add, for those that don't know Manager Weir, anytime he starts it, I'll try to keep the degree. Luckily, meeting is adjourned.